Hi, I'm Adam Abraham. A few months ago, I got in front of the camera after learning about a condition called citrus greening disease that's affecting the citrus industry not only throughout America, but throughout the citrus growing belt around the world. It's called greening disease or disorder, however, what do you call it? After doing a bit of research about it, I took a bit of exception to the diagnosis, the reasons, the causes as are being presented by the orthodox opinion makers, that it was the effects of a particular bug. Okay, the name. Are you going to remember the name? I mean, that's why they get down to the actual letters, HLB, because who's going to remember all this other stuff except someone is actually being paid to remember this stuff? You know, it's a bug, all right? And it's supposed to be a certain bug that comes in a certain other bug, and apparently it's from Asia, all right? That's the story. And, you know, something just didn't add up. Now, I'm not here to sit back and say I'm right, you're wrong. I'm just saying there's another way of looking at it that needs to be explored. And the ones who are talking about it being from a bug and caused by one aren't exploring this other way. So this is a time for, okay, figuring it out yourself. And I'm happy to say that as a result of that rant, I have no other way of saying it, I got a call about 2 weeks later from someone to whom it actually, what I said actually made sense. It actually rung true to them. And true enough, that they were willing to invest in the building of what's behind me right now. This is a PW 1200 Vortex generator from the President Water Company, and we're in the process of installing it, or they are in the process of installing it. We made it. I drove it here, a 3,300 mile drive, somewhat circuitous, but I'm here, and it's about to go in, and we're about to see for ourselves, you know, kind of what happens on this particular orchard. We are pretty excited about what this potentially means. And all we'll say is stay tuned, okay? Thank you.
Do you believe? Do you believe?
Well, we're in the part where they've put the PW 1200 online. Now we're giving the bonding agent time to cure and to create a strong pathway for the water to pass through. And then the next step will be to turn it on and let it just happen. So this is actually day 2 of this process. Needless to say, I guess everything that went into it was necessary, but a lot of it totally came together today. The next thing to do is to turn the unit on and just begin the process. But this is really an auspicious start. It's a hopeful start because it actually involves something different from what has been and has become the norm. Just changing the water alone. Nope, I'm sorry. when you change the water, you need to change other things. I will say this now for anyone who is using standard farming practices and are still interested in getting more value from their groundwater, because you get more, as you get more energy in your groundwater, you get more value from it. In other words, you get more, the water it delivers more effectively whatever you put in it. So if you put more energy into the water, if you're using chemical fertilizers, insecticides, whatever, if that's what you are just normally doing, if you are using a vortex generator, such as the PW1200 or the 800 for an 8-inch line, etc., you will need to dial your chemicals down, your chemical use down. Why? Because it will take what you put on the soil or put in the soil, it'll take it in your plants. And if those chemicals are not what that plant needs, it will simply kill them, and kill them more quickly, more effectively. More quickly, I didn't like that. More effectively. It'll do it. On the other hand, if you're putting into the ground what the soil needs, if you're restoring balance, well, guess what? It's going to deliver that into the plant too. It's funny how that works. But nonetheless, if you're using chemicals and you have to use less in order to get more effectiveness, that can't be a bad thing. I'm hearing that it costs $2,000 to $2,200 per acre to farm these days. And a lot of that, for example, the sulfuric acid that's over here on this particular field was $200 an acre for the season. You got 137 acres. That's over $27,000 in chemical. Now for me, okay, yeah, that's my opinion. There's some other ways of doing it that you don't need the sulfuric acid. However, since vortexing the water will tend to bring the water into greater balance, again, you need to use less of the other inputs. You have to use less. All right. Now, a lot of people many people know about dowsing. A lot of people do not. I am into it. I've used dowsing for many, many years. A good way of determining how much less is to douse for it. You know, many, many years ago, and actually even today, people will douse to find underground water sources, ways they couldn't find water any other way. But I think it's a good idea. For example, look, I'm going to use my little pendulum and douse and get a recommendation on how much, if they're going to use fertilizers, use sulfuric acid for pH control, how much should they dial it back by? So it's going to start moving, and I'm going to say, should it be more than 10%? I'm getting yes. More than 20%? Yes. More than 30%? More than 40? Yep. More than 50? More than 60? Yes. More than 70? No. Would it be 70%? So here you go. If you're vortexing the water, and I can't say, the guidelines for you aren't the guidelines for here. The guidelines for here is what I'm asking about. I don't know what you're doing. But relative to this particular place, if he's going to use sulfuric acid, he needs to cut it back by about 70%. That's what I'm getting a yes on. Okay? Use only 30% of what he used to use. That's for this. No recommendation. I'm not recommending anything. I'm asking a question and getting, you might say, a woo-woo way of getting an answer. But this is the way, like I said, water was found. This is still the way water is found when you don't have instruments and helicopters and labs and computers and satellites, okay? Nature has a way of giving you answers if you know how to ask questions. Anyway, that's all I got to say for now. Thank you.
Do it.